Hello, and welcome to the 2012-13 season recap, aka the first season of the Dallas Stars / Jamie Oleksiak Jersey Quest via Jam mode. As you can see here, we are kind of in the free agency period, kind of it's like July 5th of 2013. As you kind of guessed, then that means we didn't win the Stanley Cup, so it's going to be kind of a quick one, just kind of because of that, and because of the fact that Jamie Oleksiak didn't play a single game this season. There's not much to talk about with him. So kind of get into it quickly. As you can see, we finished 40, 34, and 8, which is honestly better than I thought we were going to finish, but it was not good enough to make the playoffs. We finished 3 spots below, so we finished 11th, if I can do the math right, 8, 9, 9, 10, 11th in the West with 88 points, which would have been almost enough to make the playoffs in the East, because 89 was the 8th place team in the East, which is Boston, but the West was kind of stacked more like deep, a little bit deeper this year, but the East was kind of more stacked at the top because you had both Buffalo and Montreal at 112 points each, with the Sabres winning the President's Trophy. They didn't too hot in the playoffs. The Stanley Cup champion. Let me see if I can go to the game menu here and go to the awards. Kind of quickly just show that. So yeah, you see here the Stanley Cup champion was the Red Wings, who they finished 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth. What is that? 5, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, fifth in the East with 95. Fifth in the West, my bad, with 95 points, and they beat the Montreal. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Montreal Canadiens in the final in 6 games. So they kind of quickly just showed there. The Calder Cup was the Penguins AHL team. The Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins won the Calder Cup this year. In terms of scoring stuff, I guess it was kind of realistic-ish for the time. I don't know. It's not too bad. The top scorer was Alex Ovechkin and Evgeny Malkin, each on 91 points. They kind of scooped up a good chunk of the awards, with Malkin winning the Art Ross and the Hart, and then Ovechkin winning the Lindsay and the Rocket Richard. And then kind of goalie stuff, the Vezina was Carey Price, and then the Jennings was both Buffalo goalies. As I kind of said, yeah, Jamie Oleksiak didn't play it all this season because he was still too low in overall. If we kind of go here to contracts, I'll go into there and talk about that, as well as kind of what we did in free agency and whatnot. But I didn't the team did a lot better than I thought they did, honestly, because the Stars, actually looking at the roster, how to start getting into it, was they were really bad roster that year, at least according to EA. Where we had a couple of good, a decent top line, a bit of a second line, but the center depth was awful, defensive depth was pretty awful, goalies was good. We'll kind of get into some more of that. Our leading scorer though is Jamie Benn, who finished with 35 goals, 40 assists for 75 points, which is pretty decent. But in terms of free agency, kind of big needs going into it were kind of an actual second line center, and then kind of a little bit of depth on the left wing, kind of third line left winger. We was potentially hoping for a top line right winger in free agency. I would have traded Louis Eriksson, kind of get one in free agency, or I could have traded him just to get one through a trade, but I kind of figured I'd just hold on to him and see if someone else pops up in free agency, so I kind of know what I'm getting a little bit more and don't have to give up draft picks to get it, depending on the trade value difference. I kind of may just get picks to help us out in the potentially the future. And then kind of right defense, another top 4 quality one. And that was kind of it in terms of free agency signings. In terms of the center, the only options really were Artem Anisimov, but he wanted a lot of money and it was an RFA, so I had to give the Rangers a bajillion draft picks for him. So I was kind of nah. The only other option out there then was Mike Fisher. So I signed to a 1-year deal at $4 million, kind of hoping he can kind of be a stopgap piece this upcoming season, and then hopefully either some of our prospects develop, or there's someone else better on the market, or he pops off and explodes and kind of eventually gets a bump in overall. But he was kind of our center depth signing. As you can see here, we also kept Derek Wahlround as the top line center, re-signing him to a long-term deal. And then kind of Cody Eakin, and I kind of pick is either probably Lindgren here or Wandell as our fourth line center, with kind of Fiddler as our 13th, one of our kind of 13th forwards. Then kind of on the left wing, as I kind of said, we didn't really need much because Jamie Benn was the leading scorer, so I got him to a new kind of somewhat long thing. It was actually short term, might only be a 2-year extension, no, a 3-year extension. Okay. Then here we got Louis Eriksson still here, Brendan Morrow here, and then our kind of death piece I signed is Oscar Osula to like a 1, 2, kind of 3-year deal to kind of hopefully be our kind of third line left winger, and he can eventually grow a little bit in overall, which would be nice as well. In terms of the right wing, we are kind of a little thin still with Jaromir Jagr kicking around for his age 42 season as a second line right winger. So Chuck Louis Eriksson is offside on the right wing. And I didn't really bring anyone else in because we got kind of Dvorak here, and then Thomas Vincourt bumped up in overall a lot, so he's going to be our third line winger, and then Dvorak is our fourth line winger. He bumps down. In terms of defense, here Alex Golgoski kind of grew a bunch in overall, so he's going to be our kind of top pair. He's going to be him here, and then Ian White, our other free agents signing. So I signed to take a 1, 2, 3, another 3-year deal at 5.23 mil per, which is pretty decent, I'd say. To be a kind of our kind of top pairing right defenseman. Then our second pair is going to be Trevor Daley, Stefan Robidas, who are going to stick around. And then our third pair is Mark Fistrick for on a short-term deal, hoping one of our prospects, aka Jamie Oleksiak, kind of grows enough to take his spot. And then we got Philip Larson kind of sticking around on a cheap 1-year deal. As to kind of see here, Jamie Oleksiak didn't really grow pretty much at all. He started out as a 69 overall, or 68, I'm pretty sure, and grew just like the 1 or 2 overall points to a 70. So hopefully he kind of grows a bunch more this kind of upcoming season, which then will allow me basically to slap him on the third pair and let Mark Fistrick walk in free agency. And then the last kind of development was in goal. Kari Lehtinen was kind of our goalie at the start. He was like basically our best player, but he had a really good season. But as you can see here, Richard Bachman, this absolutely exploded in overall from like a 70 something, like a 74 to an 86. It's a 12-point growth in a single year. And then I kind of also had Jack Campbell grow a lot, bump up to a 79 overall. So they're kind of like Bachman and Lehtinen basically won the same amount of money, and I was like, I'll go for the younger option, and then use Jack Campbell as the backup, kind of free up some cap space for kind of potentially get signings this season, hoping there was going to be an elite right winger on the market, but there wasn't, so we kind of have the almost 6 mil in cap space kind of hanging about for potentially to kind of help us out next season, or potentially if I want to buy at the deadline next season, if we're doing really well, I could use that cap space to basically bring in a winger for free and just give someone draft picks for him, which would be nice. But as you can see, so I'm hoping kind of with the improvements I made in free agency and some of the growth of our players and whatnot. Okay, I don't know why I just did that, but that was weird. But kind of hoping next season we can make the playoffs, and then hopefully, if that means we can make the playoffs, maybe we can make a run, and I could chuck just Jamie Oleksiak in the finals. But if not, hopefully he kind of develops enough to be able to put him in the NHL next season. Oh, the last thing I want to talk about actually before I kind of wrap up here is the draft I had was absolutely insane. Probably mostly because I just used name value recognition to kind of do all my picks. But we had the only thing we had 2 third-round picks and then a single pick in every other round. But our draft was, if you kind of like think about hearing this now, like thinking about it back then, that would have been like an absolutely crazy draft based on how they all kind of panned out. We had first round pick was Damon Severson. Second round pick was Sasha Barkov. Third round picks were Chandler Stevenson, Curtis McDermott. Fourth round pick was Tanner Pearson. Fifth round was Sean Monahan. Sixth round was Yanni Gourde, and then seventh round was Morgan Riley. So I basically kind of used name recognition value, like all these people actually turned into NHLers, and they're also kind of for the most part like the best or near the best in terms of potential, like kind of in the areas I was drafting in. So it kind of just worked out that way. But that's basically all I did was like name recognition value. So we have basically 8 players that are kind of did become NHLers at various levels. Most of them pretty solid NHLers. The only ones who were kind of like fringy or like more like Tanner Pearson, Curtis McDermott, a bit more fringe, but do have kind of decent amounts of NHL experience between the two of them. So I figure that's a pretty insane draft. So going forward in the future, I don't know how successful we're going to be in the draft, just because. Which I suggest you do back. It's like the auto scouting pretty much did a decent job identifying prospects in each round. But yeah, pretty crazy draft. I just figured I'd share that because that's like kind of absolutely nuts. Because if you go down here to see it sort of overall, like all the players that are like unsigned, you kind of quickly to see them all. Keep scrolling. Like here we go. Here's Damon Severson, Yanni Gourde, Barkov, Morgan Riley, Chandler Stevenson. Like so that's like a pretty crazy draft. They have decent potential for the most part, like Gourde, Severson, Barkov, Stevenson, McDermott, all have pretty decent potential. So hopefully like they at least actually pan out like they did IRL. And the rest of them, if they like pan out at all, be pretty nice. If they don't, it's whatever. So we have a decent kind of squad and prospect pool already, but that's kind of it for this video. So as I kind of said, next video is going to be the 2013-14 season recap. Hopefully make the playoffs and make a bit of a run, but if not, kind of just keep building and see what happens in terms of Jamie Oleksiak's growth. But kind of thank you for watching, and hopefully take the time to watch the next video as well.